welcome back to my channel. My name is Coluccio, aka the Midlife Success Coach. Here on my channel, we are talking all things entrepreneurship, life in general, relationships, well-being, all of those things which, when you get the mix right, mean that you are living a successful, wonderful midlife where you are living on purpose. So if this is your first time here, welcome. Please make sure you hit subscribe, like, and share it to all your midlife friends so they can be encouraged too. If you are returning, welcome. It is so great to have you here, and buckle in because today we are talking about reinvention. So I've had just a fabulous morning. Well, not so fabulous with the usual internet dramas that we have around here, but all good. I got to meet the wonderful Laurie, who is known as Not Your Average Grandma on her podcast. And she is an incredible lady. And we were talking all things reinvention. Actually, we talked a lot more than just reinvention. You're going to have to go and listen to that podcast, let me tell you, because we talked all things vaginas, reinvention, and just life in general. Oh, cats, chickens, everything. We covered the whole gamut. So if you really want to know about the meaning of life, make sure you go catch that episode. I will be linking it down here when it is released. But in the meantime, I'm going to touch on one area that we talked about, which was how do you go about reinventing? Now, we hear about it all the time. I've written about it. In fact, my very first little book, Girl, Get Over Yourself and Get in the Game, was literally talking about my own reinvention story. My first reinvention at midlife when I was 43, when my whole world turned upside down and I had to step away from the life I'd had before that into the new future and the new life I had waiting for me. But for that reinvention, I had to do a few crucial steps. Want to know what they are? You want to reinvent your life? Here's where it starts. Step number one, release the past. Critical, critical, critical. It's impossible to move forward into something new if you're still holding on to the past. You know, I ran a poll in the Rocky Midlife group, that wonderful free Facebook group, unapologetic ad here. Make sure you go down below where the link is and join us. I'm in there daily. But I ran a poll a few years ago about how women were coping with empty nest. The problem was some of them weren't. I had a range of comments of how women were coping, but there was one comment that I still remember to this day. And that was a lady saying, I'm not coping. I'm crying all the time. My heart is hurting. I'm grieving for those years that I had with my children. Now, if you truly want to walk into an amazing future, if you truly want to make your midlife something amazing and fantastic and goal-orientated and just full of purpose, you need to release the past. It may have been a great past. It might have been a crappy past. It doesn't matter. At some point, there needs to be a definite releasing of it in order for you to go forward. Now, my first midlife reinvention was when I was 43. Yep, back in the dark ages. We're a tad older now, but I wear it bravely. I am 55 now, if you are wondering. And yes, fringes hide a multitude of sins, just saying. Beauty tips too, I should add that in this show as well. Anyhow, as I sat out on the deck with my daughter, who was opening envelope after envelope from the universities that were offering her places to study after I'd homeschooled her for 6 years, I was so excited. I was so thrilled, and I felt like I'd been sucker punched. I was about to become redundant. And I knew right then that I had a choice. I could sit and be depressed and pine and grieve for those years that I'd had with my kids, or I could decide, that's it, that season's finished. And I remember the good times and I learned from the bad times. So I take all the learnings, but now I'm going to set my face towards the next season ahead. And that was a very definitive line in the sand that I drew. And I chose to do that. And that's what helped propel me into my next season. So make sure you actually check yourself. If you're someone wanting to reinvent, to move into something new, have you released the past? Number 2, identify your values. Now, this might seem a little odd, and I know a few people are probably going, yeah, but what's that got to do with anything, Kat? But bear with me. There are plenty of lists on the internet that list heaps of values. In fact, I'm going to save you a job. I'm going to do a handout and I'm going to post it down below so you can get one, okay? A list of your values. Now, I want you to go through that list. Identify what are the key values that really mean something to you. They might be trust, they might be honesty, they might be having a great work ethic. They could be all different things. What are the values that you really align with? Once you've done that exercise, have a look at those values. Narrow it down if you can to the top 3. It'll be a challenge, but I challenge you to do it. Okay, here we go. Number 3, which is dare to dream. So you've worked out your values. What then are the things that you could start dreaming of doing where you can live by those values? So let me give you an example. I've always been a teacher ever since I was a kid. In fact, I used to resent it because my mother was a teacher and my uncle was a teacher. But the reality is I've been teaching kids almost from the day dot that I could walk and talk and go about it. I was teaching people how to swim in our backyard pool. In high school, I was teaching music. That was from age 15, 16 onwards. I've always taught. There's a show that my parents used to watch, and I don't think I ever actually watched it, but the title of it stuck in my mind. And even all these years later, so we're talking like 40, 50 years later, I still recall it. And it was To Serve Them All My Days. It was a show about, I think it was a British boarding school, and it was featuring one of the teachers. And that title hit me. And all these years later, I still remember it. To serve them all my days. You see, service is one of my values. Serving people through teaching, through empowering, through inspiring, through motivating, through everything I do. That's one of my values. And that's why I turn up time and time again, even though I'm a real introvert, and it'd be so much easier not to turn this camera on and feel like I'm going to be judged by everybody, including myself. Yeah, okay, so there's a few issues there. But you see what I mean? My value of serving others is what drives what I do. And so my dreaming about what I want to do next, what books I want to write, what courses I want to write, what content I want to put out, all is in alignment with that value of serving others. So my question for you today is, what are your values? And how can you align them to what you do in your next season? It might not have been the input that you expected, where I was saying reinvention, A, B, C, here you go, boom, 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 off you go, you're reinvented, your life's changed, there you go. Nah, it all starts inside here. So make sure you take those away today. Release the past, number 1. Identify your values, number 2. Then, number 3, start to dream. You can do it. You can reinvent your life. And you can start right away if you want to. Hey, so make sure you grab that list of values that I've linked down below. Shoot me an email. Let me know what you've gotten out of today. I'm a real person. I love hearing from you. Make sure to like, to subscribe, to share to your friends. Let's continue to rock our midlife years and let's live out our purposeful lives every single day.